Home of Untold Stories TV 47. This is News Now, which starts right now with the highlights. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops asked the Kenya Kwanza government to fulfill pledges it made during the 2022 campaigns and also lower the cost of living,
in view of collecting more taxes. This has also affected people's morale and sense of hope in a better future.
IDPs in Salama Ward in Laikipia County fear contracting waterborne diseases as their camps get submerged by floods brought about by the heavy rains pounding parts of the country.
Mtuhurumie tu kwa sababu hapa ni kifo tupu.
And residents of Munyeti in Athi River living in fears of having their houses demolished by individuals who are claiming ownership of the land they live in.
Fungiwa hapa ndani itakuwa mzuri. Si ni kama tunahamishwa. Sasa tunaomba hata mtu ingililie kati mtusaidie.
Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Grace Kuria Kanja. Now, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops is asking the Kenya Kwanza government to put in place deliberate and realistic measures to reduce the cost of living, saying that a majority of Kenyans cannot keep up. The clergy also asked the president to fulfill his campaign pledges to avoid a scenario where Kenyans become hopeless.
There seems to be a lack of sensitivity in the way the business persons and individuals are being harassed by the KRA officials in view of collecting more taxes. This has also affected people's morale and sense of hope in a better future.
Our people, our staff are there. We really appeal once more to government and NHIF to make sure this money is paid to our facilities because it means life and death to many people in Kenya. It is as serious as that.
We are particularly concerned that the people who are affected most by this situation are those in lower income bracket, and especially the poor and the miserable. This has created an added suffering to the people already strained by recent COVID-19 pandemic and drought effects.
We applaud all parties concerned for having heeded to the plea of Kenyans, religious leaders, and many other people of goodwill to come together and seek an amicable solution of their differences through dialogue in the ongoing bipartisan talks. This has given our country a lease of life and renewed hope for peaceful coexistence. Moreover, we believe that the spirit of dialogue can bring about greater progress in political, social stability and common purpose for the good of our nation. These talks stand as a crucial initiative aimed at addressing the deep-rooted grievances among Kenyans, which often lead to divisions, particularly during general elections.
And internally displaced persons living in Kianjogu camp, Laikipia County, now say they have been neglected by the government and previous regimes. They say the poor living conditions are a danger to their safety and health. The IDPs who are complaining of leaking tents and lack of beddings now say that they would like the Kenya Kwanza government to step in and assist them in getting land or any other help they can be accorded. Their coordinator, James Mora, says funds had been allocated to help them but are being withheld by individuals clouded by self-interest.
Tunakula shida nyingi sana. Maisha haya tunaishi kwa makaratasi haya. Tunaumia sana. Kwa sababu wakati kama huwa mvua ikinyesha, haya makaratasi munaona hapa yametomboka. Na usiku hatulali, tunalala kama tunasimama kwa sababu ya mvua.
Mtuhurumie tu hapa. Mtuhurumie tu kwa sababu hapa ni kifo tupu. Hata mkiweza tu mkuje mtuinue na mtupeleke, mtusaidie tu na mashamba.
Godoro, huna nini, huna blanketi, serikali tukufu ya Kenya jameni. Tunahangaika mkiwa hapo, msituangalie. Serikali ya Kenya.
Na bado haya mashamba yako, kuna watu ambao wananyakua haya mashamba, na ukienda kuongea unaanza kumulikwa. Ukienda kuongea unaanza kumulikwa.
Na shida kubwa tena ya choo. Hapa ukitazama hakuna choo. Tuko na choo moja na mbaya sana, hata huwezi peleka mtu aione. Hapa kuna watu wengi sana, zile choo ile choo ni bovu kabisa.
So listen to this. Now, the government has affirmed that the heavy rains affecting more than 19 counties are indeed El Nino rains. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has announced some of the measures being put in place to cushion Kenyans from the adverse impacts of floods.
Over the last few weeks, many parts of the country have been receiving more than normal rains. This has threatened lives and livelihoods, especially downstream. I thank you, the media, for your work in raising awareness on the floods and the humanitarian situation across the nation. I would like to confirm that the government, working with partners, is on top of it. More than 19 counties in ASAL and non-ASAL areas have been adversely affected by the continuing heavy rains. 2 sections of roads have been cut off in counties such as Wajir, Isiolo, Mandera, Marsabit, Tana River, Garissa, among others. This has reduced access via land. 3 families have been displaced, especially in northern Kenya and downstream in areas like the county of Tana River. 4 efforts are ongoing on documentation of missing persons, livestock lost, and the crops destroyed to the enhanced rains. We'll be making this data public once confirmed. 5, we face the risk of rivers breaking their banks, and in this regard, we ask our people to be on the lookout. Through the National Emergency Response Committee that I chair, the government and other partners have taken a raft of measures to reduce the negative impact of the rains, including 1, deployment of aircrafts by the Kenya Defence Forces for evacuation of marooned families to safe grounds. As we speak, we are delivering KCSC examinations to areas disconnected due to damaged roads. In working with our development partners, counties and other key agencies, we are distributing food, maize, rice, beans and cooking oil, and non-food items to tens of families affected to reduce their suffering. We have activated multi-agency teams and mobilized technical and financial resources for easier response. The Emergency Response Committee is coordinating a consolidated approach for efficiency and effective action. This is preventing duplication of the response as well as ensuring no place or person is left behind.
All right, El Nino it is, the Deputy President has said. Let's move on. And controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie has been found guilty of being in possession and distributing films which have not been classified and operating a filming studio without a valid filming license. The films were also found to have allegedly been used to incite children against education. The Office of the Public Prosecution said the state convinced the court that the subject was undertaking his filming business without due license from authorities. Now, the court also ordered that a pre-sentence report be filed by the Probation and Aftercare Services to capture the sentiments of the complainant, which is the prosecution. The case will be mentioned on December the 1st. Now, the National Industrial Authority, together with project partners and key stakeholders, implementing the future-proofing jobs in Kenya's building, construction and water infrastructure project, have taken part in a dissemination conference. Now, during this event, partners collectively reflected on and shared learning experiences gained after the completion of the project. The project began in the year 2022 and was supported by the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So far, 1,060 trainees have benefited from the training in various skills, with 250 being trained at NITA, Nairobi and Kisumu.
We've opened up opportunities, and this will occur under the recognition of prior learning. And we expect positively that the cabinet will approve that policy framework shortly. And once that is approved, then we see an exponential demand from both the formal and informal sectors for the purposes of providing opportunities for beneficiaries across both platforms. And once we do that, then we'll be able to satisfy not only the national, the regional, but also the global demands for the purposes of the same, because what is required in terms of the industries and the employers is beneficiaries or clients who are industry driven in as far as technology is concerned. So while we have had challenges of the same, would want to prefer that employers and partners are properly guided in as far as benefits are concerned.
I've heard about a group here that is dealing with building and construction. If you can be able to identify the sections where, through the industry, where the labor is required in line with that industry, like part qualifications like laying of tiles, plumbing, painting. If there is a certain area that through research, you can be able to see if we have a shortage in such a particular area, tailor-made trainings can be done, people taken through RPL in those sections, and they get certified out of it.
And residents of Mavoko village in Munyeti, Athi River, are living in fear of their houses being demolished by unknown people who claim the land is theirs. The locals claim that in recent days, unknown people have been threatening them to leave their land. They describe being worried due to the large number of police officers who have been gathering on their land recently. The residents are now asking the government to intervene, while also asking the police to investigate the perpetrators who are seemingly planning to loot their land. The Athi River Sub-County Police Commander Jos Mudavadi has asked the residents to file reports with the police, adding that the police are working closely with the Ministry of Lands and Housing to resolve the many disputes witnessed in the Mavoko area.
Kazi yenye tuko nayo huku ni kuweka perimeter wall, wanataka kutusurround hapa ndani. Na tunaona tukifungiwa hapa ndani itakuwa mzuri. Si ni kama tunahamishwa. Sasa tunaomba hata mtuingililie kati, mtusaidie.
Juzi tumeona askari kwa shamba. Tukifuatilia wametumwa na nani? Wamekuja na muhindi, anasema anataka ni investor, anataka kufence shamba yetu. Hii shamba tumeishi, tuko ndani, tumejenga manyumba, watu, watoto, wamama, wazee wako ndani, polisi imekuja, wote kila mtu anahofia maisha yake, anaogopa kusikue na kitendo kama chenye kilifanyika huko Portland.
Sisi kama wakaaji, wakati tumeona tunaambiwa ya kwamba inawekwa perimeter wall na fencing, tumeona tunanyimwa haki zetu, kwa sababu ikishafungwa na iwekwe gate hakutakuwa na mahali ya kuaccess. Na nowadays in Mavoko unastakiwa na forceful detainer na trespass. Kwa hivyo kila kitu ni forceful detainer na trespass. So tukaona sasa the law is very clear. You cannot be having a trespass in a disputed land. Na hii shamba iko disputed. Kwa hivyo ni walikuwa wanataka kusingira ndio watutafutie makosa ya criminal, ya forcible detainers na trespasses. Ukiingia ukiruka fence unaambiwa umepatwa na trespass.
To Kisii now, where police have launched investigations into the brutal murder of a 22-year-old second-year student at the Kisii National Polytechnic, allegedly by her boyfriend. Neighbors say they had a quarrel between the deceased and her boyfriend, which could have led to the former being stabbed repeatedly.
Ilikuwa mwendo wa saa 12 hivi ndio tumepata ripoti kwamba kuna kijana ameua msichana kwa nyumba hii mahali wamekomboa, lakini kijana mwenyewe ametoka upande wa Hispania msichana ndio anaishi hapa hivi, ni mwanafunzi one of the institutions in Kisii here. So bila tumepata ripoti tukakimbia, tukapata amejifungia kwa nyumba, tukampembeleza afungue akakataa. So ndio tumeita reinforcement kutoka Kisii police station. Before wafike ndio wanafunzi wamekuja kutoka GIT, ndio wamefamia hiyo nyumba, wamefungua, wakamtoa nje, wakamchapa. Vile wamemweka nje ndio askari wamekuja, ndio wamekuja kusaidia yeye.
Ndile ningeomba ni kwamba wanafunzi ambao wamekuja hapa kusoma, ningeomba wale wasasi ambao wanaishi na hao wanafunzi mahali wamepata nyumba, wao watiifu sana, wao wakichua jinsi huyo mtoto anaishi hapa hivi. Na ningeomba kwamba hasa watoto wasichana wapate ushauri kutoka kwa mpangaji ama wale kwa yule mwenye nyumba, ndio jambo lolote likitokea iwe kwamba inajulikana.
And 2 months after the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution barred discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, religious leaders have yet again stepped forward to condemn the move, saying the verdict is akin to allowing immorality and homosexuality in the country. Chichi Josephine with the details.
Months after the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution barred discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, religious leaders have yet again stepped forward to condemn the move, saying the verdict is akin to allowing immorality and homosexuality in the country.
We are totally against this same-sex marriage. And the reason is because we believe what the Bible says, and we stand for the word of God. And God himself said it is not good for man to lie with a man.
The alliance has discouraged the government against seemingly legalizing same-sex relationship and marriages or registering organizations and associations supporting lesbians, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer orientation.
Msaidizi yule Mungu alimuumbia mwanamume ni mwanamke. Na sasa mtu akija kukuambia wewe mwanaume oa mwanaume mwingine, anaua kizazi chako.
Wale ambao wamejiingiza katika hii anasa hatuna shida nao, maana walijiingiza bila kujua. Mungu awasaidie wabadilike, na wakibadilika wanakuwa watu wazuri.
EACA Secretary General Bishop Geoffrey Buliba affirmed EACA's stand against same-sex relationships, saying that it was against the will of God and the will of creation, saying it is unfortunate that the government and the judiciary were leaning towards legalizing these kinds of relationships.
Wanawake wako hapa Kenya wengi wazuri wanataka kuolewa na wazae watoto. Na nyinyi wanawake ambao mnataka kuoana nyinyi wenyewe, kujeni kwa wanaume, mtazaa, mtapata, jina lenu litabaki dunia hii milele na milele. Lakini kama wewe unaoa mwanamke mwenzako, mtakufa tu hivyo.
At the same time, the alliance has petitioned the government against casting blanket condemnations against all churches and the clergy every time a church or a church leader goes wrong.
Serikali kutoka kwa Registrar of the Societies achunguze katiba ya makanisa, sio kushambulia makanisa yote.
Si vizuri wachungaji wote kupigwa au makanisa yote kupigwa. Kwa nini tusishike mchungaji yule anafanya na amepatikana na makosa ashtakiwe huyo kotini?
This comes after the government was once again threatening to regulate churches after police discovered a consignment of bang, electronics and a slaughtered stolen goat on Monday. Chichi, Josephine TV 47.
An elderly woman in her mid-70s was today arraigned at Kehancha Law Courts, having been accused of 5 counts of offences. The woman, identified as Miss Wankuru Rioba, was arrested on November 4th and first appeared at Kehancha Law Courts on November 5th, when she was accused of committing 5 counts of offences, among them possession of cutting materials, participating in FGM activities, and subjecting minors to physical harm, among other counts. Appearing for her second mention before resident magistrate Kashmir Augustus, Wankuru pleaded guilty to 2 counts of offences and not guilty to the other 3, with her next mention scheduled for Wednesday, the 15th of November, with a ruling set for the 24th of this month. According to Kehancha Law Courts Senior Principal Magistrate Moses Obiero, FGM is a criminal offence, and thus the minimum charges imposed on the culprits are justified by the law, and hence there is no need to introduce new laws.
Kuja hapa kwa sababu hapa Kehancha Law Courts leo
tuko na mention ya kesi ya mama ambaye ni mkeketaji sugu ama very notorious kata, ambaye tulimshika tukamleta hapa kotini ili kutafuta justice kwa watoto ambao wamekeketwa. Kwa hivyo we are here to follow up on that process. We want to be part of the process from the beginning to the end, tuweze kutafuta justice kwa niaba ya watoto wetu. Ndio maana tuko hapa in solidarity with the children of Kenya who are seeking justice and the children of Kuria. Na especially upande wa ukeketaji, we are interacting and networking with the government officers wa Tanzania, upande wa security officers, the DCs and the police. Huwa tunafanya mikutano ya cross border na tunaona ni wapi tunaweza kushirikiana upande wa kupunguza ukeketaji na pia kupunguza hiyo crime.
Is a criminal offense punishable by law. So whoever is involved in FGM will find himself in court, and then we'll just follow the law. There'll be evidence. If there is no evidence, we'll acquit. If there's evidence, we'll convict and punish as per the law. People have been arrested, but so far we only have 2 who have been brought to court, who have taken plea that the charges are clear to them, and they pleaded not guilty, which means the matters will go for trial.
To Embu now, where over 70 government workers have pitched tent at the county headquarters citing claims of unfair dismissal. Led by County Government Workers Union Secretary General Robert Duba, the workers demanded to be reinstated as they submitted their petition to the County Secretary and CC Administration and Public Service. Duba said instead of appraising them to gauge their suitability to continue serving, the county went ahead to dismiss them, which contravenes fair labor practices. They called on the government to intervene to save their jobs, as they also vow to seek legal redress should their petition to the devolved unit bear no fruit.
Tunayo sababu ya kuamini kuna watu ambao wameweza kuingia katika ajira wasiokuwa na masomo ambayo yanahitajika, ndio hawa waweze kuondolewa katika hali ya kutokuwa kazini. Ndiposa tunasema haki itendeke kwa wafanyikazi kwa vyovyote vile.
They still want that job done at the same level for same salary with people same qualification. But instead of allowing them to continue, therefore, which is the expectation they had, and they have been involving the county in discussions about this, they lay them off, many of them, and employ people from outside.
Ingia kazi yako na miaka mingi kuniliko. Sasa nashindwa namna gani? So ningependa wako na watoto wa watu. They have children, wako na watoto. Wengine walikuja hapa mtu akuwa na mtoto mmoja, wengine walikuja bila watoto, sasa wako na watoto. Tafadhali ni mambo yao niangaliwe, tunataka tusaidiwe. Na tukiwezekana hao watu waambiwe warudi kazi as long nini inaendelea union ikiendelea mambo yao. Na kama ikiwezekana pia kashagua ujue sisi tunaumia hapa. Sisi tuchague UDA na sisi ndio UDA damu. Sasa kama sisi ni haswala na tunateswa hivyo